So, couple things. One, we have some undecided voters immediately that were being focus grouped. And under 30 for Michigan, Jonah says, I don't know what he's talking about in terms of his false claims that immigrants are eating pets in Springfield, Ohio. So that's cool. You know, brilliant move from Donald Trump being extremely online and flubbing that big time. One thing I will say is this. I think you and I will both agree that the American population has already made up their minds on Donald Trump. Maybe he can eke out tweak the margins a little bit with like young men, conspiratorial minded people that don't actually show up on polls, right? Like he's had the capacity to do this before. He's done it twice, as a matter of fact. He's done it. He's done it twice where he's like brought forward people that normally are not necessarily polled well, right? Like people that normally don't go out and vote. So here's a couple things I want to say about this, right? I'm not saying this is a success method.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that this is like a successful method for Trump. I'm saying that this is what he's going after, in my opinion. I think that that's like with the RFK endorsement, Tulsi Gabbard, like he's trying to carve out like what remains in the demographics that might not have like a solid opinion on a dude who was president for 4 years, right? And it's going to be hard, especially because he wasn't just the president. He was a hyper telegenic president. There was a lot of opinions in either direction, right? So it seems like, my point is, it seems as though Donald Trump, I mean, and I think this is reflected in the polls, like he's locked in, like his audience is locked in, his voters are locked in. So he might stand to win here and there a couple people in the margins. He might stand to lose a couple people potentially. That's less likely in my opinion, because if they're committed to Donald Trump at this point with maxed out name recognition, then they're probably invested and they're probably committed. It seems to me like Kamala Harris was looking to, like you said, show who she is to a broader audience of voters who might have voted for Joe Biden or might have historically voted for the Democratic Party or is going to vote for the first time ever, but aren't necessarily enthusiastic about going out and voting for Kamala Harris. And on that front, I think she absolutely showed herself as like a reasonable adult, what like the Biden team thought Biden would be able to do. And he obviously failed to do so because his brain was leaking out of his ear. But in terms of like activating a lot of those people, I think you have to meet them where they're at, recognize their material conditions, recognize the problems that they're experiencing, and offer them like a decisive policy prescription, a solution to their problems. And I think personally, she didn't do that much.
No,
there
I
were
don't
moments
think so either.
Yeah, there were a lot of moments, I think, where she could have done that, especially when they were talking about healthcare. Like, that's such a gimme. Trump is literally chirping. Trump is chirping about how Kamala Harris wants to give everyone healthcare. Like, that's
concepts of a plan.
And she's just sitting there, like, shaking her head furiously, like, no, I don't want Medicare for all, I promise.
I don't want to support the thing with 60% approval.
And it's like, you're so stupid. This is like another Israel-style situation where she is directly at odds with the broader electorate. People want me to hear what Waltz had to say. Let's tune in to see what he has to say.
Certainly, and you couldn't get any different than this. The reinstitution of Roe versus Wade, what was the law of the land for 52 years. You saw this in there, and him pushing back to the states, she's exactly right. It's people like Amanda in Texas, which everybody saw on the stage in Chicago, nearly bleeding out, having sepsis twice because she can't get the care. She's been absolutely clear on this. Everything Donald Trump said, that is untrue. The clarity of this is Roe. When you have Roe, you have the protections in place where women make their own decisions with their health care providers, not Donald Trump.
Okay, thanks so very much for joining us, Governor Waltz.
I said, if the goal for tonight was to simply demonstrate, for the Harris campaign, was to simply demonstrate competency and remind people how narcissistic and incompetent Trump is, she put up LeBron numbers, but the goal tonight was to also get voters enthusiastic about voting for Harris. On that front, progressive policies would help. I said 8.5 out of 10. That's my assessment of Kamala Harris. As far as Trump's performance, it's like minus 10 out of 10.
It wasn't as bad as Biden, but it was like in the same area code. It was like in that ballpark.
It was like, yeah, I mean, Biden is like historic. That's like once in a lifetime failure, right? I mean, he had to drop out. That's how bad it was. But I cannot, like, he ate every bait. He was extremely online. He was disheveled. He literally leaned into like all of the worst instincts, like all of the worst things that people point to him about. And he even leaned into like all the issues that he should be avoiding, like that cost him the midterms, even like cost the Republican Party the midterms, like loser shit. Bro, he said at one point, nobody on the other side even died on January 6th. The other side was your Congress. Okay?
Yeah, and the cops.
Like, and Mike Pence and cops, Capitol Police. It's like the only Ashley Babbitt died. Nobody on the other side even died. It's like that's crazy, man. That's an insane thing to say. Like, I often talk about how silly it is, like how much hyper focus like liberals put on January 6th. And that's, I think, part of the reason why it's like reflected well in the polling. Like, Trump is a threat to democracy. Why? Because that's the key thing that Democrats can't shut up about, right? So obviously it's going to be reflected in the polls to a certain degree. I wish they would have that same energy for immigration in terms of counter messaging, but they don't because they're stupid. It would be like if Kamala Harris did the Joe Biden thing, regularly bringing up how, like, I don't know, undocumented migrants are like doing rapes or something. You know what I mean? I genuinely cannot comprehend how he like failed to be normal on immigration, a strong suit, and like didn't even talk about the economy. Like, he rarely talked about the economy in that entire. The whole point of Trump was to be moderate, right? Like, was to seemingly look normal, more normal than you've ever seen him before. That's what his like advisors keep fucking telling him, and they're like, don't attack Kamala Harris on race and stuff. Like, just be a little bit more normal. You know what I mean? Be a little bit more normal. Maybe you can pick up some fucking voters on the sidelines. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of people are angry about the economy. Like, you're beating Biden on the economy. You're beating Kamala Harris on the economy. And it's crazy that like he just could not take a deep breath and just be a goddamn adult. And he just he insisted on eating every bait possible. Incredible.
But he totally made it about himself, just talking about being like, I don't even know who Abdul is. I don't even know who that is.
I know who it is. That's the funny story. He's the Taliban chief, right? Trump
No,
literally
it's a
actually
different guy who's the head of the Taliban.
No, he evac'd them out of a Pakistani prison and brought him to the United States of America, which is why it's really funny when he just keeps saying like, oh, I sent him a photo of his house. It's like, no, dog, you took him out of jail. Like, he was in prison, okay? He was in prison. You got him released from prison and you brought him to Camp David. You did not send him a picture of his house unless you showed the photo of the Pakistani prison he was in. So that's like another thing. That's another lie that he loves repeating for some reason. The copium tomorrow is going to be so delectable. I can already sense it from here. First of all, everyone's going to complain about the moderators fact checking.
So fucking funny.
Here is a really good idea. If you don't want to get fact checked, don't say Haitian migrants are eating cats on the most prominent national stage you've been on. Are you
when you're like 78 years old?
And then he started debating the moderators. He's like, actually, I saw it on television. Real old man hours over there. It was incredible.
I keep on getting recommended Megyn Kelly's tweets, and she's so fucking pissed off. She is so mad at the moderators.
Ben Shapiro.
Oh yeah, Ben Shapiro.
This debate won't matter.
Debate won't matter. This is what the Biden people said. This is exactly what they said.
Yeah, that's how you know this shit popped off. This debate won't matter. It was just eliminated as an inflection point. The American people still know nothing about Kamala Harris' positions. Donald Trump is still Donald Trump, and the legacy media are still a giant flaming dog turd.
Don't go after them too hard, Ben.
Wow. He busted out the big words, the big boy words. His wife's not gonna let him sleep in the same bed tonight. Trump just posted literally 2 minutes ago, insider paper poll from Twitter on his Truth Social. Poll, Trump v. Harris, who won the presidential debate? 78% said Donald Trump. 23 hours remaining on the poll. Like I said, and Kamala decisively won. tonight, like decisively. That's not a question. But obviously this is always a matter of like how close the polls will be. And in terms of like proving herself as someone who can like meet Donald Trump, she will get a lot of clout off of this too. Like the media will go crazy over it. Overall, like I said, I think this is like there's a phenomenal opportunity here to like legitimately push for decent policies and deliver majorly for the Democratic Party. If the Democratic Party was even remotely interested in being like a competent party that is not completely in the pocket of corporate interests, and actually wanted to, go back to like a New Deal style Democratic Party, which they're not.
Yeah.
I know that they're not. Ultimately, this is the opportunity. Like the numbers could look insane right now. You have a historically unpopular Republican that people have made their minds up on, and they're like worried that him consistently calling Kamala Harris a communist is going to like harm her, or at least presenting it as though they're fearful of that, when none of those smears have landed.
Yeah.
I mean, it was insane, bro. Yeah, she wants to do transgender operations on illegal aliens who are in prison. Like I think he saw
Frank Zappa line.
No, I think he saw the K-File post. So that's gonna be like the Trump world's like gotcha. They always love getting one of those. Like what Trump will say something that comes across as like very unhinged, and then like they'll be like, it was actually true, sweetie. And they'll run with that. That was like a gimme for them, I guess. But yeah, it's actually Andrew K-File. Andrew K-File's like original reporting from like 2019, I think. Fact checking online said it was misleading and not false. Lol. Yeah, exactly. It's not technically false. I'm pretty sure that is something that like people will hyper focus on in the Trump world. They'll be like, oh, see, the media's lying, even though yesterday they said this was the story. Tim Miller says, just spoke with Lindsey Graham in the spin room. He said the debate team should be fired and Trump was unprepared. Disaster.
Yeah.
I thought he was going to be kind of boring. Like I thought he was going to be kind of boring and not have that same energy, which might, I thought maybe that would like play well into, is Trump a moderate now type shit that the media loves like repeating, fucking Van Jones.
Yeah.
But nope. As soon as I saw Laura Loomer, I was like, oh, shit's going to be awesome tonight. He's going to say some unhinged ass bullshit. And he did.
Yeah.
And he fucking did. Laura was like, Mr. President, sir, please talk about the dogs and cats that the Haitian migrants are eating. And he was like, that's a great idea. Thank you, Laura. I don't know what the fuck was happening there. Like, I just don't understand how he has like, did he look at DeSantis's team and go, that's great. We should do
Kamala called for a second debate.
Oh, Kamala already asked for it. Wait. Yeah, Kamala Harris asked for it, but I don't think Trump is going to do it.
No, he's going to say they're biased.
Yeah, he's going to say, yeah, you're right about that. I saw your tweet. Like, he's going to say how biased the moderation team was, and that's why he's not going to do it. But then that opens him up for a line of attack where, they could just be like, he's a coward, he's running away. Ingram says if she's asking for another debate, they don't think she won this debate. They will be saying, mic drop, we're done. They don't think that she's in a position right now to win this race. No, I think it was a gimme. That's why. I think they saw how fucking easy this shit was. It was easy street. And they were like, oh, let's do that again, please. Let's do that every weekend.